September 9th, 2016. Guys, I was afraid this storm was going to develop rapidly, and it is. Notice off the tip of Florida, this morning it had a 10% chance of development. They quickly raised it as it touched the tip of that warm water in the Gulf Stream to a 40% chance. That's a very fast development. They, I think, were underestimating the water temperature. Not only that, some of the tracking, and we're going to go through the different models, shows this thing going straight across, maybe hitting around the Texas and Mexico border. I don't think it's going to do that because both the currents and the wind are against that. But notice now they've got it at a 40% chance of cyclone formation within 48 hours. Now, what's interesting is it came up so fast they really haven't had time to do any spaghetti models of it. They're not sure exactly what the winds, both upper and lower level, will do once it gets into the Gulf. It says it's producing squalls of 30 to 35 mile an hour winds east of its center. If the system's thunderstorm activity persists or increase in organization, this thing could develop. Now, 93L is still at a 10% chance. You've got the larger system behind it, and is a 50% chance. And as we go to the 5-day forecast, notice that the larger storm is 80% chance of development. Your Invest 93 in the center, in the yellow box, still a 10% chance, but it has not hit the Gulf Stream, and that's why I'm concerned about the Carolinas. But here, notice one thing, very little lack of movement. That may very well have to do with they have not had time to project a path, because it's not going to stay there 5 days. Now, if we go to the CMC model out of Canada, this is the one that shows it going straight across the Gulf. Two things to notice in this image. Your timestamp at the bottom is the 10th. That's tomorrow. Going back to the 9th. But the one thing is this one's particular track is showing it going straight across the Gulf, again into the Texas-Mexican border. The conditions in the Gulf are not favorable for that to happen, and I'll show you why. The other thing to notice in the video is the amount of time that the second storm maintains its position off the Carolina coast. That could mean a lot, but here we are on the 12th. They're showing this center in the middle of in the Gulf, right out in the center, as still up to the 13th. Now notice the storm that's in the Atlantic is hitting land much further south than it was this morning, hitting Florida first, then raking up the Georgia, Carolina coast. That started on the 12th. It's the 16th, 17th. Look at your timestamp now. The storm in the Gulf has gone into Mexico south of the border and showing landfall around the 14th. We're going to go through that again, though. But this storm going up the East Coast, guys, we really need to pay attention to that. With that slight chance of development over the next 48 hours, I think it will change once it gets closer to warmer water and that Gulf Stream again, just kind of backing this thing up. And look how long the East Coast gets raked. The storm coming from the bottom corner now is the third storm in the watch. Now, we're going to get down and look at a very close 1 kilometer image from satellite. Notice the spin is picking up in speed. The wind gusts there, they're getting 30, 35 mile an hour wind gusts now on the coast, guys. But the wind shear, that's the upper level wind shear, is keeping the thunderstorms from wrapping around the storm at this point. They're staying right there to the right. But those conditions are going to change. The spin is now very well centered into where the northern side of the spin is in the Gulf Stream. The western tip is now getting into this 84, 86 degree water, and that's just going to pick up. But notice now like I said this morning, that upper level wind shear, once it got into the Gulf, is moving north. Not only is the upper shear moving north, look at the thin clouds near the surface. They're also moving north. This storm, I just don't think it is going to make it across the Gulf. Again, that was the Canadian model. NOAA is just showing it kind of setting in this area because they're not sure yet. There has been no spaghetti models as of this point. I'm sure by the 5 p.m. report this afternoon, people will start tracking it more and more. We'll hear more about it. What you're looking at here is water vapor. That dark line is the driest air on the map, and it's feeding right into the center of this low pressure system. It's about to get squeezed out both from the south and the north. Notice how tightened that line is, and once that line is squeezed down, moisture is going to be feeding into the system. Notice your temperatures. It's right there around the 87. This is air temperature, so that plays into it as well as ocean temperatures. And that's putting the air temperature about 3 to 4 degrees hotter than the water temperature. Again, 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds, invest 92L, and so we should start getting the tracking models. I want to look at the NOAA wind speed map. What we've got here is ocean, current, and sea surface temperature. Notice the storm is already creating the circular wave pattern there. That's how strong it is. And the pinks in this image are the hottest. Switching to the NOAA wind maps, you can see that it has its rotation now. This morning it was not a closed loop rotation like that. But as soon as it hit that water, guys, it had to change. It's just too hot in the south. And the guys all the way up the East Coast, it's hot today. You're matching records that we have here in the south. But what we got to pay attention to, from now, just about every update is where this storm is going to track and how fast it's going to get. This is the third storm that's showing on the maps. You can see very good rotation there. Now, the center storm, Invest 93L, is still moving and disorganized. This storm right there is not coming in the Gulf. You can tell there's a big difference in the amount of energy that's starting to develop it. We're watching it, guys. It's a heads up. Be safe.